Hello, welcome to Mouthful of Toast. This is the new anime, manga, and convention-focused podcast from the Nerdpocalypse crew. I'm Tim. I'm one of your hosts.
I'm here also. My name's Carrie. You've probably heard me on the Nerdpocalypse podcast and during my frequent guest appearances on Dense Pixels as well. And we also have Ian.
Yes, my name is Ian, and I guess I'm very new to this podcast thing, but I suppose I'm going to be part of this crew. And we're just going to love talking about Japanese culture all day, guys. Am I right?
Absolutely. So, on this podcast, what we're going to cover is we're going to cover some anime news. We're going to cover stuff that's coming out new. We're going to cover stuff that we've checked out. We'll have a regular roundtable discussion. That topic will change every week. We'll also talk about convention coverage, some cosplay stuff, some trailers, and anything else we happen to find interesting as we release these episodes.
Yeah, so we're really trying to get as much content crammed into these episodes as possible, and we appreciate any and all feedback. So if you guys are really loving one section and not so keen on another, just let us know. We really want to try to get the most bang for our buck for each one. And for all of you hoping for some sort of breakfast podcast, I'm sorry, this is not the one for you. The only time we'll be talking about it is if an anime is referencing the tired trope of running late to school with mouth full of toast. That's the only time we'll talk about that.
Running late to anime school.
Mm-hmm. God, I hope they don't call us nerds, guys.
Oh, geez. It's too late, I think.
Yeah, I think.
Targets on our heads.
I mean, we're under the Nerdpocalypse umbrella. I think it's a little late to worry about being called nerds.
Right.
After this. Jeez. Okay.
All right. So we're going to get started on our headlines this week. We've got a few for you. So first off, Studio Ghibli, known for many things. Mm-hmm. My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke. There are too many things to list. But they released recently in Japan a movie based on the tale of Princess Kaguya, which is a very famous Japanese folktale. So it's being released in English, and a cast has been announced. Chloe Grace Moretz, who's known from Kick-Ass as Hit Girl primarily, she will be voicing the title character. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
On Chloe Grace Moretz?
Yeah.
I mean, I actually don't think I've seen her in anything, but...
You've never seen Kick-Ass?
No, I've never seen Kick-Ass.
Really?
Yeah. It's a conversation for a different time, I feel. It's too Western, please. But honestly, like, Ghibli's casting, American casting, is always star-studded and tends to work out really well, even if, you know, the actors don't quite all line up. They're all good actors. And I feel that's going to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Ghibli dubs never seem to go after prominent American anime voice actors or actresses. They tend to go with Hollywood people because they want to make the money. And so I think they know that if they get someone who's pretty popular now, and Chloe Grace Moretz is certainly a rising star in Hollywood, I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't think she's done any other voice roles before, but I don't think that's going to impact her performance much.
Yeah, a lot of the Ghibli movies, a lot of the actors they cast don't do a lot of voice work. It's just like, hey, we're Disney. Here's a check, please.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big differences. Is that Disney has that money to throw around to not just rely on the stock voice actors we're used to, I guess.
Right.
And the biggest thing is I noticed the release date is right around Oscar season. They're really trying to push for that. So.
Absolutely. I kind of felt that The Wind Rises got snubbed big time for the Oscar bait that was Frozen. Come at me, bros, if you want to fight about Frozen. I really didn't care for it much myself. But I saw The Wind Rises, gorgeous film, definitely deserving of more attention than it ultimately got. So hopefully Tale of Princess Kaguya will do well in America, despite the fact that it is a very Japanese story.
Oh, yeah. And I love that Ghibli was like, oh, yeah, I'm retiring. Like, I'm going to be done. Psych.
I mean, he's done, but his studio's just going to keep pumping him out.
Oh, for sure.
And honestly, I'm excited to see what happens next, because honestly, the non-Miyazaki efforts from Studio Ghibli have been good at best, but they've also been mediocre at worst. And, Arrietty was fine. And I'm really hoping this, allows Ghibli to create an identity for each of their other directors, basically, as they come into the spotlight to fill Miyazaki's very, very big shoes.
Very big award-winning shoes.
Yes,
right.
Sure.
So Princess Kaguya, we're all looking forward to it. And speaking of movies, that takes us straight into our next story. Dragon Ball Z just won't go away. Dragon Ball Z.
Who put this story on the docket?
That was me, actually. Dragon Ball Z is putting out another film after the apparently incredible success of Battle of the Gods.
Well, this was the big Shonen Jump announcement for the week. Yeah,
okay.
So Shonen Jump, they're all about pumping these movies out, and Akira Toriyama's probably like, have you noticed he's been trying to do more series after Dragon Ball, and none of them have really gotten traction?
No. No, he's going to be doing Dragon Ball and then illustrating the Dragon Quest games until he is in the ground.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm just wondering where they're going to go with this movie. Like, okay.
Here's my guess: Goku's going to die, and then he's going to come back, and then he's going to punch something in the face.
Oh, of course.
Because that's how Dragon Ball works.
I don't know. There's not much evidence of that sort of storyline ever happening before in the series.
Oh, never.
So apparently it's called, or they don't actually have a title for it yet, but the September issue of V Jump has officially announced that there will be a new Dragon Ball movie coming out not until next year. So there's some time. Toriyama teased that the story is still secret, but will be, quote, utterly funny. So maybe we're going comedic with it.
Just a Dragon Ball comedy movie like, oops, I just slipped on my Nimbus cloud. Oh, well.
Yeah, it's going to be 2.5 hours of slapstick comedy from the Dragon Ball crew.
I mean, at the very least, if the movie isn't funny, we're going to have a very funny Dragon Ball Z abridged episode out of it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think that's the big reason to hope for more Dragon Ball Z stuff anyway at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we're still on the theme of movies, apparently.
Yeah.
That's true.
So who put the next one on the docket?
I did.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, thanks. So basically, Gus Van Sant, director of Good Will Hunting and Milk, is now the slated director to do live action Death Note for Hollywood, which is an interesting choice, I guess. I'm not sure.
I mean, he's done, obviously he's a 2-time Oscar nominated director. He got nominated both for Good Will Hunting and for Milk. Didn't win either of them, but obviously the nomination is a big enough deal. For someone with that kind of pedigree to take over a project like Death Note is a little weird.
Yeah, what?
It's interesting.
I had completely forgotten that Hollywood was like, we're going to do Death Note for America.
Yeah.
I remember the images floating around of Zac Efron, like Photoshopped to light. I don't think he's the one cast. I think if anyone's going to take this subject matter...
I don't think it would be a bad choice.
No, he's an actor.
Yeah.
He can actually do okay acting. It's fine.
I mean, he's like 30-something now, but he still looks like he's high school. So, I think it works if he were casted. But I was saying that this director actually would be an interesting choice because, I don't feel like any other director would take this any kind of seriously. And, the story, Death Note actually started out really serious. The actual consequences of having this great power and all this. And it gets kind of goofy in very anime.
Right.
I mean, it's got that very anime. Sorry. We got that very anime melodrama to it, but I like, I like the depths that you can go to with the very out of touch characters that all of the characters are.
Yeah, absolutely. Just completely out of touch with reality. Death Note's one of my all-time favorite mangas. I never actually saw or bothered watching the anime, but I really enjoyed the books. I have to wonder if Hollywood is going to try and stick to the original Japanese version, or if they're just going to take the concept and base a film off the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, because they could go either direction really, and when they deviate, we get stuff like the live-action Dragon Ball movie.
Well, to be fair, when they deviate, we also get movies like Edge of Tomorrow, which was probably the best action movie I saw this summer.
Yeah, well, speaking of Edge of Tomorrow, that takes us straight into our next story. Thank you.
Look at me. Basically, the scriptwriter for Edge of Tomorrow, Dante Harper, is now also attached to the live-action Akira project, which has been in development hell for quite a few years.
I remember being in middle school, and for the record, I'm about to get my master's degree. So
that comes right after middle school, right?
Yes, right after middle school.
It's not that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember hearing many, many years ago, like, oh, they're going to do a live-action Akira film, and then, like, not hearing anything about it, and then, like, 2 years later being like, oh, they're going to do a live-action Akira film, and then, like, nothing, and then, like, 4 years later, oh, they're doing a live-action Akira film for real this time, and I was like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's certainly been back and forth, that's for sure.
I feel like it's just one producer or something keeps getting the script placed on his table, and he's like, absolutely not. We cannot. Yeah. He's like, actually watch the movie. He's like, no, please don't.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
obviously, you know, the original manga and then the original movie are some of the most influential pieces in anime history.
Monuments. And,
I mean, the Akira movie keeps being referred to over and over again as like the Snow White of anime films, where it was like the first hugely successful Japanese animated film, and
not
everything
because of
else
their subject
came
matter.
after.
I thought they were like totally alike in subject matter.
Oh no, yeah. Don't you remember when like Snow White turned into a giant, you know, magma baby thing?
Yeah, that totally happened. It was one of the seven dwarves.
Totally
yeah. Snow White.
Garida.
So, I mean, it's something where, boy, would I like it to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But at this point, I've been hearing about this for the last 12, 13 years. So I have to really wonder if it's actually going to happen at this point.
We'll see.
I mean, All You Need Is Kill was apparently really good.
Which is Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, yeah. I didn't see it because I don't really like Tom Cruise. I'm not going to pay money to see him. Sorry. But yeah, I don't know if either of you saw it. Apparently it was really good.
I saw it and I loved it, honestly.
Yeah?
I mean, Tom Cruise, I think he's a great performer. Like, I think he's a weird person for sure. Like, that's gotta happen. But I think he's a very good performer, and he really fits into this role very well. Like, Emily Blunt's got a very good character written for her that she does very well.
I do like her, yeah.
And just, it's an action movie with a lot of great variety in its scenes, and really works through its premise until its premise, you know, reaches its final conclusion. And it's good. It's good. It's just a nice ride the entire way through.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good and all, but it's not anime.
Right.
Sorry.
Hold on. Let's talk about some anime right now.
I mean, Ian, given that you actually saw Edge of Tomorrow, I mean, would you have faith in an Akira movie that those people were involved in?
That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't know what to think, really. I'm cautiously optimistic that it'll happen. Like, I kind of want it to happen because there's that whole idea of, you know, the genre crossover stuff. And Pacific Rim did it really well with, you know, introducing that big mecha idea to a new kind of, you know, new generation that hadn't grown up with, I guess, Voltron or like the early Gundams and stuff like that.
Right.
And then, you know, Edge of Tomorrow means that people are willing to adapt manga works, Japanese pop novel works into action movies, stuff like that. So I definitely think that this time, when they're revisiting Akira this time, we might actually get to see something and not just, you know, talk about, well, why don't we translate this thing over? More like people are maybe excited to actually do it now.
Right. I would definitely say Hollywood has kind of a better attitude towards that kind of stuff than they did when this idea first came up.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
they didn't realize how much money you can make them.
Right, exactly.
They're like, oh, you know what? People actually like buy this stuff a lot.
Oh, wow. Pacific Rim made all of these dollars.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Pacific Rim made its money back in the worldwide market.
Exactly.
And Edge of Tomorrow is poised to do the same.
And I would say Akira would probably do the same.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
What I'm interested to see is where if they end up putting it in Japan or they do like New York City.
Right.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
So,
I think that, yeah. I mean, if Dante Harper, he changed, like, All You Need Is Kill, I believe, is still set in the same setting as Edge of Tomorrow is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. If they actually do it like that, then if that writer, okay.
Right.
All right. This is the most I've ever trusted this project.
Right.
We'll see, because, like, it just working off of the idea of the Normandy invasions and that, like, video game look that we're used to is a lot easier to translate than Japan, like Neo Japan.
Yeah.
So we'll see, I guess.
As long as it doesn't look like the Kanye West video for Stronger, I'm going to be totally okay with it. Do you remember that?
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, no.
I can't
Kanye West's video for Stronger is 100% based off of Akira.
Oh,
it's all coming back to you now.
It's all flooding back to my head. Is expanding, and yeah. Oh, God. Let's not make a movie of that.
Yes. As long as it's better than that, I'm going to be happy with the live-action Akira. All right, so that wraps it up for news this week. We've got a little more sort of news in trailers. We'll get there. Yeah. But yeah, so I wouldn't say there's anything started this week, but we're in the threshold of the summer anime season.
A lot of stuff started the last 2 weeks, basically.
Yeah.
Like summer kicked off with a bunch of like sequel seasons and a bunch of new content, and we really want to try to just get a feel for what's coming out and try to get like one episode under our belts and try to give you an idea of what you should be keep an eye out for this summer or what you've heard about.
And we're going to endure a lot of bullshit for you, our dear listeners.
We actually get to do that? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, well, actually, I think that we should watch all the new series in descending order of boob size. Am I right, guys?
Get out.
They're all... how do you compare?
They're all huge, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Lowly series at the end, and then...
Yes.
All right.
Yes. All right. So, Tim, tell us what you watched.
Do you really want me to start off this section?
Yeah, you're going to start.
Oh, right.
Because it's only going uphill from what you watch.
So, okay. First, I need to preface this, because for a lot of you listeners who are coming from Nerd Apocalypse and stuff like that, you have no clue who I am. I have a Tumblr, and I make a lot of promises to my Tumblr followers sometimes, like live streaming this game that's very popular right now called Dramatical Murder. And I haven't done it yet because I moved, I got a new job, and blah, 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 and I was just like, I don't feel like succumbing to this right now.
Right.
And for those of you who are not acquainted with Dramatical Murder is one of those visual novel games where the goal is just sex with every man.
Yes, it is an eroge novel.
Yes, yeah.
But super gay.
Super gay, super graphic. I mean, like, that has its intended audience. I am not the intended audience.
Are you sure?
I'm like 99% sure.
Okay.
After this anime, 98% sure.
All right.
Okay. So they actually just announced an anime and did the first, like, they're actually on episode 3 now of the Dramatical Murder anime. And I was like, okay, this will be the first episode. I need to give something to the people who've been, like, itching for me to stream this game and give my commentary. So I actually sat down and watched Dramatical Murder episode 1 last night.
Okay.
And I worry about all of their fashion choices. That's the biggest concern. Like, right when you turn on the series, you'll be like, what is he wearing? What is up with that guy's hair? What are they doing? And you realize, I think the excuse I got was, it's the future.
Okay.
It's also anime.
It's also anime, but
it's very anime.
This is not the future I want. There's like samurai wearing like having long hair and like flames on their kimono and like who's a hairdresser. He's a hairdresser, obviously. And then the main character is this guy named Alba, and apparently he has a beautiful voice because everyone remarks on it in the beginning. They're like, he's working at the part shop he works at. It's like a mechanic repair shop, and it's called the Mediocrity or something. It's like the Mediocrity Parts.
That's hilarious.
And like someone actually gets the name wrong later, and it's actually a better name. And he's like, no, we're the Mediocrity. Like, why are you proud of that?
We're okay.
Yeah, it's
Deal
like
with it.
we're a completely average shop, but like please buy from us. And the whole episode is just him parading through town, like delivering parts and like meeting all of his like bullshit friends, and like you don't care about a single one. Like they're just there. Supposedly these are all the romance options. Like a lot of them are the romance options, but like there's some subplot with like a game, like it's called like Rhyme, and they all like fight each other in the game. It's like you die in the game, you die for real kind of thing.
Oh, that's good.
Well, at first it's not like that, and then he gets like sucked into a game in later part, and like they're like this bunny in a lab suit or whatever is like, now that you're in the game, I've turned off the part where it doesn't kill you. And he's like, oh, I guess I better fight. And it's just like, it's just like I wanted to like actively hate it, but it's just boring. It's just like I don't care.
That's always the biggest sin for any bad media, right?
Yeah, it's not like hilariously bad. Like, oh my god, look at all this stupid stuff going on. Like, the animation's okay. You know, there's some frames that are a little wonky.
Yeah.
And there's just so many weird aspects that they all tried forcing together, and I just don't care about any of it.
That's the thing about shows that are based off of visual novels.
Yeah.
Particularly visual novels that have multiple paths that you can take.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they're not any fucking good.
Yeah.
No.
They're just not. You know, I'm a huge fan of the Higurashi and Umineko, the Ryukishi 07 visual novels. Read all of them. And, boy, are the animes just not any good at all. Umineko in particular is bad. And of course, those suffered because they were done by Studio Dean.
Oh.
Which has a budget of stuff you find in the washing machine.
Like some lens and a rubber band.
Yeah, exactly.
Make a whole anime on
they
that.
They panhandle for their budget on the off-season.
Yeah. They're out in the streets. They got a hat. They're like, please fund our, like, Umineko.
So, well, is it something you would say continue to watch, or?
Well, actually, okay, I'll have to give it credit in some parts because like they actually are trying to do a story for right now.
Right.
You know? If you want the booty, if you want to see the gay sex, play the game because I don't know how they're gonna handle that on TV.
I don't think
they
that's
probably
gonna
won't.
happen.
Yeah, that's just the thing.
It's very graphic. The game is very graphic. If you see any screenshots, it's just him just getting it right in the pooper every time. But it's like the actual anime itself. It starts out with a fairly decent concept. I just feel like there were so many characters in the beginning that were all introduced very briefly, and from what I've seen, I've just absorbed a lot of knowledge about it, and it's just not for me.
I feel like this is going to be something where if you're already a fan of the visual novel or the manga that's based off of the visual novel, you'll probably be into the anime, and if not going to be for you.
Unless you like talking dogs and animals. There are a lot of talking dogs and animals. I
understand that that's a thing in Dramatical Murder.
There's like a little, like, I don't even know what breed it is. It's like this little black dog.
I think it's a Pomeranian.
Yeah, it's like a Pomeranian, and it's like, hello, Alba.
What the fuck?
And it's his computer, I think, too. He's like, I'll check your email for you. That's the...
All right.
Anime.
All right, so speaking of anime... talking animals too. Sailor Moon Crystal started a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they're doing every other week, so only one episode is out.
Which works out for our podcast schedule, actually.
Exactly.
Because we do every other week.
Yes. So, Sailor Moon for me, and I'm sure for many other people, was like my introduction to anime. It was like Sailor Moon and Pokemon.
Yeah.
Towards the tail end of elementary school for me. So... You know, I remember the original very fondly. It's not something I've ever gone back and watched again. I might go back and pick up the manga because I understand that Crystal is going to stick a little closer to the manga.
Yeah, they're trying really hard to be on the source material.
Yeah, so...
I actually watched this too, by the way.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was like, what's all the hype about?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the animation quality is superb. My issue... is they're all super noodly and like it's sort of what I guess I would imagine like a 90s anime if it was done today. This is what it would look like because everything from that period of the 90s was super noodly.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It definitely has that throwback design look. Like it's a little polished up for modern 21st century anime look, but
budget.
Yeah, that's also very true. But yeah, it is a very interesting throwback look for that.
So I like the look. The one issue I have is Usagi seems very expressionless so far.
Yeah.
She kind of has that same dopey look on her face the whole time.
A lot of the charm of the original series is how exaggerated she was with everything.
Exactly.
Like all the emotions, like blah, 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 and she was just like everywhere.
Very
and
over the top.
You don't get
original.
that sense at all in the new series.
I wonder, if they're going to maybe take that into account and maybe kind of do more of the over the top expressiveness later in the series.
Maybe.
Because ultimately, if they kind of go with like the big doe-eyed, bubbly look the whole time, the ugu face the whole time. I don't know if I'm going to be super duper on board. Like, I'm going to watch it. It's Sailor Moon. I'm not going to not watch it. Like,
You're in.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think the biggest thing people are excited about is there's not going to be as much filler. Like, filler was all over the original version. But
yeah. I hope that the pace is kind of there. I mean, you saw in like the last 30, 45 seconds of the episode, you get your first glimpse of Amy, whatever the hell you want to call her.
In the English, she's whoever.
Yeah.
The original English stuff, everyone's different. But
yeah.
Serena, Amaru's what? Like, what's his name? Like Brent? I don't know.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Jared. So I mean, I'm going to watch all the episodes. If it starts to get to a lot of filler, I'm probably going to drop off. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it's every other week. And if you have 2 episodes of filler, that's a month of filler.
Yeah, if they touch any filler, it's going to kill it. So.
Yeah, so hopefully the pace is good. Hopefully the animation quality maybe gets a little less noodly.
Not just the animation quality with the noodle people, but like there were some wonky frames. Let me tell you. Like right in the opening, there's one frame of like Sailor Mars's face is like it's like, what did you had months, you delayed this so long, like at least clean up the opening.
Right.
But overall, like I think it's capturing the original spirit and getting people really hype about Sailor Moon again.
Absolutely.
Like, where have those people been? They've been hiding out, waiting, holding on, like, looking at Madoka.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
They've been rewatching Rebellion over and over and over again to have their magical girl feelings.
Like, was that really the ending?
Monica feels.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like this is the complete opposite end of the spectrum as far as anime goes. I've been watching, I watched the first couple episodes of Gundam-san. So Gundam-san, is based off of a gag 4-coma parody comic of the same name.
Okay, total spin-off of Gundam.
Yeah, so Gundam-san is mostly based on the original Gundam 079, Universal Century, i.e. the only Gundam that matters.
Whoa.
Hold on.
We'll get into
so, yeah.
Yeah, we have
2 weeks
words.
from now, you'll hear from me.
I will fight you.
We'll have a Gundam episode.
Gundam is best Gundam. Yeah, so there was a period of time in 2009 where I was on board with old school Gundam. I watched all of 0079 consecutively. I marathoned that, and then I marathoned all of Zeta Gundam, and then I marathoned all of the 90s OVAs that bridge those 2 seasons. So I watched like not 200, maybe like 150 episodes of Gundam.
That's a lot of Gundam.
In like a summer. Yeah, it was a lot of Gundam. And I was making all the Gunpla kits and stuff like that.
Nice.
And after that, I just like dropped off. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much Gundam.
Gotta take a break.
Yeah, and then I never picked it back up again. So maybe Gundam-san will get me back into it. This is one of those, again, it's like 3-minute episodes.
Okay, so you watched a few because it was like 8 of them's one episode.
Yeah. So
maybe explain what 4-coma comics are, so you can. So
So 4-coma, if you are coming to us from the Nerdpocalypse and you're like, what the hell are these people are talking about? So 4-coma is a 4-cell manga, which is a comic strip format. That's basically, you read it top to bottom. It's usually 4 panels stacked on top of each other. And it's usually just, the kind of strip that you would read in the Sunday comics.
It's like quick punchline,
Yeah.
goofy
Quick
scenarios,
gag
sitcom style, compressed jokes sort of stuff.
Exactly. So
usually spin-offs of major series.
Yeah.
We'll do 4 comas.
So to have a little mini anime show based off of a 4 coma, it's exactly what you would expect. A lot of just quick jokes, like you have Char Aznavour, who is known as the Red Comet because he has all of his mobile suits are painted red.
I hear he rides a horse. That's all I know about him, is that he's on a horse.
I don't know. I don't
think he ever...
I don't think that's
He's
true.
not actually on a horse?
No. You may be confusing him with a Zex Marquis.
Yeah. There have been Char imitations in various other...
Quite an iconic mask in that universe.
Yeah, with the red and the mask, etc. So
I think I've seen the Gundam. I think I've seen him being an asshole at some point, but I just haven't.
He's very good at that.
Yeah, okay. I just don't know much about early Gundam at all.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, obviously it's like 1970s animation, so it can be difficult to watch. But it's very good. I would highly recommend the original Gundam to anybody who hasn't already seen it and wants something old school to watch. But anyway, Gundam-san, the first episode has jokes all based on Char's obsession with the color red. He's like, it's going to make my mobile suit 3 times faster and 3 times stronger and 3 times more powerful. And, like, another character, Lala Soon, is just like, that's not, that it does nothing, it's just a red coat of paint. And he's just like, what? I believed it made me more powerful.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a cute little parody thing. So, I mean, if you're into old school Gundam, you'll definitely get a kick out of Gundam-san.
Got it.
So, yeah, and what are you watching?
Okay. I have been hyped for this show for a while. The show that I'm watching I have been so hyped. It's called Terror in Resonance, and it's the new show by Shinichiro Watanabe, who is best known for directing Cowboy Bebop. And
awesome.
Man, his work has always been very, very interesting to watch, at least interesting. Like, he's done Cowboy Bebop, he did Samurai Champloo, Kids on the Slope, and he's doing Space Dandy this season as well. But what's really drawn me to this series, for instance, is that not only is he directing, but he's also working with Yoko Kanno, the composer of Cowboy Bebop as well. And the last time they collaborated after Bebop was Kids on the Slope, which was, I think, my favorite anime from the 2012 season. And
wow.
Yeah, like, they really know how to work together and getting just like that right feel of music, that right feel of action, that right feel of just look design. And so Terror in Resonance is about, well, it's hard to say what it's about right now. 2 episodes have aired, and it seems to be a very, letting out these details, these story details very slowly. It's more based on just getting atmosphere and the base plot points out right now. 2 young teenage men that go by they call each other 9 and 12. They coordinate a terrorist plot that blows up the iconic 2-towered Parliament building in Japan. And they end up roping in someone else, a girl who is in the building at the time, who goes to their school where they're going to keep cover, I suppose. And they end up, I guess it's just going to end up being an intertwined lives, intertwined conspiracy sort of thing. There's some hints of them coming from some facility where maybe they were tested on as children. I'm really hoping that the more we see of it, the more it becomes sort of real, sort of relatable, and doesn't go into weird standard anime sort of schlock. Which it very well could. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah, from hearing the character descriptions, I was so worried. One, it's like I'm the quiet, nerdy one, and I'm the super crazy one. I was afraid those caricatures could end up overshadowing the more serious points of the story. And just, I think what's most interesting about that series, from what I've heard, is the third character in the mix, which is the girl they found in the building.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be able to make it more relatable and bring a realist eye to what events are unfolding with the terrorists and all that. So it's just really sensitive subject matter, though. Like really,
right.
It has to be handled really carefully.
Well, I'm definitely confident that Watanabe can do well with this material, especially after the first 2 episodes. I'm a very, like, for instance, I'm very against a recent series that got a lot of press, like, that people love, honestly, called Eden of the East, which dealt with terrorism as, you know, an aesthetic. Like, characters talked about Ground Zero, and there were terrorist attacks, like major ones in Japan, but it never treated the subject matter correctly, I felt. Especially, like, it felt more like some Japanese writers wanted to see, oh, what if 9/11 happened in Japan, but didn't really do much of anything. And it's a very, like, honestly insulting premise the way it came off. But off of these 2 episodes here, like, there is a real sense of seriousness to the proceedings, like just all those, like, haunting shots of just windows getting blown out as, you know, the tower just starts to crumble apart and eventually falls. And there's very key, like, just seconds long shots of, you know, all that debris and dust just billowing out into the streets and people just running away from that. Episode 2 actually begins with some shots that are very, very recognizably inspired from that very famous Ground Zero shot of that one, like, huge piece of the side of the building just standing.
Yeah.
And it plays with these images in a very, very respectful, very fitting manner for the subject matter. And, you know, I really hope that the tone stays that much and that we get to know more of these characters and figure out what they're all about. But for what it's worth, what we've seen with the characters so far, I'm definitely interested. They don't seem to be exaggerated caricatures at all just yet. Like, there's still potential that they might become that. But for what it's worth, right now they seem interesting, mysterious, and underplayed. So there's definitely room for them to grow in very positive, interesting ways.
Okay.
Excellent. So obviously that is just a small taste of the enormous summer anime season. I don't know if there's going to be much I'm going to have the time to really sink my teeth into. I mean, major additions this summer. You've got Free Eternal Summer, 2nd season of Free. I've got a lot of friends who are super into Free. I have never seen a single episode.
Almost the same Dramatical Murder crowd, you know. It's roughly that demographic.
I'll definitely argue that Free is a lot better than the usual offerings of that genre.
Right. Actually, I from what I've heard, it's actually really respectful, really, like, interesting dramatic stories.
Sex positive, non-exploitative, fun writing, fun characters. Yeah. What more can you ask for, really? And they take their shirts off a lot.
The only thing that I think I would be even remotely interested in starting to watch is Persona 4 The Golden, the animation.
I'm so mad about that.
But I'm honestly just so sick of Persona 4.
They keep milking it.
I might not even bother.
The well is dry, Atlas. Please
stop. Please just give us Persona 5.
Where's Persona 5?
And then milk that instead.
I don't want the dancing game. I don't want 8 animes. Just give me Persona 5.
Say that the well is dry, but you know the well is definitely not dry.
Yeah,
it's not. Everyone gets so hype. I know. I mean, like, I just feel like the character arcs of the Persona 4 game were just so good, but I don't want to go. That's a video game.
Yeah. We'll save that for Dense Pixels.
Right.
Other 2nd season stuff, Sword Art Online, 2nd season. Yeah.
Sorry, Sword Art fans.
Yeah, I'm not sorry. Space Dandy season 2.
Space Dandy.
Yeah.
Dandy guy in space.
Yeah. I think Space Dandy is the only thing that Chris, my boyfriend, for those of you who are listening, has been interested in anime-wise, because he was like, "Oh, it's about a dandy guy in the space."
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's all he needed.
You're right. That's
it's surprising how accurate the synopsis is right there,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Couple films coming out over the summer. Pokemon film. Number however many.
Well, it's for X and Y though. Right?
Yeah, it's introducing a new mega form for Deontay.
Oh boy.
There's a Doraemon film and there's a Ghost in the Shell film. And there's a couple other films about stuff I don't know, but I know those three.
I haven't seen anything from those series in a while.
Oh, wow, yes.
Well, actually, yeah, Ghost in the Shell, like, that new Arise series is coming out in terms of, like, you know, it's movies, short movie after movie after movie. And I'm trying to pick it up, because Standalone Complex is a series I'll definitely talk about later on this series, for sure.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to give you the latest news and, like, talk about some of the newer series that are coming out, but we really want to dedicate some time to talk about some of our favorites.
Yes.
So we're going to sit down and they could be newer shows, but we're going to try to cover more ground with these series, and we might get into a little bit of spoilery material, so we'll tell you right now.
Yeah, most of the stuff, we're getting into the checked out section right now, so most of this stuff is going to have been out for a while.
Yeah.
So there will be a spoiler alert on this section every episode.
Yeah, just keep your ear out, because if you're currently watching any of these and you're like, oh man, I'm like the 12th episode, oh my god,
sorry,
but
skip ahead a few minutes.
You had like 15 years, sorry.
Yeah. So I've been trying to watch JoJo, and instead I've been watching Digimon Tamers, because they put Digimon Tamers on Netflix in its original Japanese format.
Okay.
And I had never seen Tamers in Japanese before. I had only ever seen it when it first aired in the United States in, the early 2000s. And I kind of was watching it as it aired, and I haven't watched it since then. So for me, this is kind of, a fresh look at a really old show.
So yeah. How is that experience? Because, we have Sailor Moon Crystal, which is a series that's like, a lot of fans from the English dub are watching, and it's purely in Japanese now.
Right.
And now, you're watching Digimon Tamers in Japanese now compared to English dub. And, like, what kind of, like, how do you feel about that? Is it jarring at first? Is it, like...
I mean, I wouldn't say it's jarring so much. It's not as though I'm watching it immediately after seeing the English dub.
Yeah.
So I think if I had done that, one right after the other, it would be a little more jarring. I've seen Digimon Adventure in its original Japanese format. That's also on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Netflix lists the English dub and the Japanese original as two separate series. Which kind of makes a lot of sense given the incredible amount of changes the English dub had to make when it was first brought to the United States. So if you're interested, you would be looking for Digimon Adventure. Now, Tamers, it's a little weird because Tamers is considered separate from the first two seasons of Adventure, but it's listed on Netflix as season 3 of Digimon Adventure, even though it's a separate thing. The Digimon universe is vast and very confusing.
Like Pokemon, yeah.
Exactly.
It's huge. It's been going on for a while.
Except Pokemon all takes place on the same universe. And Digimon has, like, this multiverse shit going on.
Yeah.
So there's, like, Digimon Planeswalkers and, like...
No shit. Like, Tamers introduces a character who made a very, very brief cameo appearance in Adventure named Ryo. And Ryo is the main playable character in the Digimon WonderSwan games.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're reaching.
They're, like... Ryo is a pretty popular character in Japan in the Digimon game universe, which takes place in the Adventures universe. But Ryo is like this fucking Deus Ex Machina of Digimon.
Oh, wow.
And so he arrives in the Tamers universe, and he ends up staying there. But throughout the WonderSwan Tamers games, he's like involved in multiple universes, and all this crazy shit happens to him.
The god of Digimon.
Don't even get me started on the actual god of Digimon, because that's called Yggdrasil, and that's completely different. But he's just like this crazy multiverse traversing tamer, the human boy who can just show up wherever the fuck he wants. He is the Deus Ex Machina. They just like plop him in, and he solves all the problems.
See, I don't remember this. I watched Digimon for a while. I watched like 2 or 3 seasons of it, and I liked Mummymon.
Mummimon's cool. Mummimon's great. But yeah, so Ryo makes his first appearance in animated form in an episode of Digimon 02.
Okay.
Where Ken's having a flashback, and you see Ken and Ryo together in the digital world. And then,
Ken, the Digimon Emperor? Yeah, that guy. Okay.
Yeah, so all these years later, in this separate universe, he shows up in the Tamers world, where the stuff that happened in Adventure is like a game and a television show and a card game.
Okay.
So weird shit to have to connect to each other, but either way, the Japanese version of Tamers, very, very good. There is yet to be a season of Digimon that I've been like, no, that sucks. Digimon's always been good, I've always thought. Frontier was kind of but even Frontier had like really good moments to it. But yeah, Tamers, really good. I'm getting to the halfway point. So it's like, I don't know, 40-something episodes.
Okay.
So it's not a quick watch, but it's on Netflix. So it's super easy to watch, very convenient to watch.
Put it on the background if you want, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Chris is actually watching it with me, so yay!
Nice.
Bonding time.
Yay! He's like missing like 4 or 5 episodes at a time because I was like, I'm just gonna keep watching, and he just like comes in and like watches an episode and then goes upstairs and plays Elder Scrolls. What is Digimon without mentioning Pokemon? I picked up the most recent English translation of Pokemon Special, which in the United States is called Pokemon Adventures. The Pokemon manga is based off of the games. It's not based off of the show.
Oh, wait, is this did they do like an OVA or something where they just went through like the beginning of the game, the first game, and like they tried to keep it as accurate to the game?
They did an OVA based off of the games, but it has nothing to do with the Pokemon Adventures.
Oh, this is completely different.
Yeah, totally different.
Ash is dead. He's nowhere to be found.
Yes.
Okay.
So like they're based and named after the default names in the game. So instead of being like Ash and Misty and Gary, it like their names are like red, blue, green, gold, silver, etc.
The original imaginative names.
Yes.
That are really
very imaginative.
Well, let's cut Japan some slack. They try. They learn a few words. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, the Pokemon Adventures manga, it's really good. It's printed, it's weird, because Viz prints it in the United States under their Perfect Square imprint, which is their children's imprint. I would not consider this a children's manga. Like
it's like dark Pokemon?
It's kind of dark. Like, people get kidnapped when they're children, and like, you see like Pokemon get killed, like Arbok gets like sliced in half in the very first volume. Like,
Pikachu, what are you doing with those pills?
Yeah.
Pikachu, you have a problem.
This is the Pokemon Special manga in Japan. That's what they call it in Japan.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Are they actually still translating and printing that then?
They are.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they started way back when it was first being serialized in Japan. Viz kind of brought it over. And then they dropped off, and then maybe 2 or 3 years ago they picked it back up and started reprinting the Tankobon, the actual graphic novel format. So, you know what? Definitely worth reading. You can find them in box sets instead of having to buy the individual volumes. I know you can order the box sets offline if you're interested in getting into that.
How many volumes is it right now? A lot?
A lot.
I feel like
okay.
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot. I mean, again, this is something that's been running since 1998.
Wow.
So,
okay.
With like the same artist and writer the entire time, which you really don't see a whole lot. So particularly in super duper long volumes, unless you're talking about JoJo
or One Piece.
Or One Piece, yeah.
Which I like both of those. We'll talk later.
Yeah. But yeah, Pokemon Adventures or Pokemon Special, whatever the hell you want to call it. If you're into the games but not so much into the show, and you haven't already been reading this, read it. It's good.
Cool. So you mentioned watching Digimon with your significant other.
Yes.
So when I went to visit my significant other, Steph, who designed our lovely logo.
Yes, thank you, Steph.
She was like, Tim, you gotta watch Yowamushi Pedal. And I was like...
Yeah. Yowamushi Pedal.
Yeah, Yowie Pedal is the affectionate nickname of the series. And I was like, isn't that a series where like the gay bike guys like have sex with each other? And she's like, no, they don't actually have sex. And I was like, well, that's all I've seen. And I just want to talk about how a fandom of a series can like definitely mold your expectations of that series.
Okay.
Because if people all over are talking about just like the shipping and like how good the characters look and blah blah blah, and you don't hear any of like what the actual plot's about. It could really like warp what you think a series is going to be about, and that's what happened with Yowamushi Pedal. Is I was just like I know everyone's going crazy over this, but like where did it even like it like sprang out of nowhere, just appeared on my social media feeds. Just like, oh, here's these like hot bike guys, and they're like really all about being hot and with each other. And like that's all I knew.
Here's the thing that I've seen. There's one guy with green hair who looks a lot like Saionji from Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is my all-time favorite thing on the planet ever.
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, yeah,
We'll talk about that later. Oh my god.
Utena's a whole episode.
Yes. But every time I'm on Tumblr or whatever, and that thing comes across my screen, I'm like, is that Saionji? No, it's not Saionji. Damn it.
That thing. The biggest thing is that, like, when I actually sat down and watched it, it's actually a really engaging story. So it's about this kid who moves his town, he, like, starts at high school is the big thing. He's, like, he's starting, his name is Onada, I think.
You paid attention.
Well,
I paid attention to
other things, yeah.
I was a little distracted. No, Onada, he's just this kid. He's like this huge anime nerd. Like, so I can relate. And he shows up to his school, and he's like, I'm going to join the anime club because everyone has to join a club. It's mandatory in Japanese, apparently. From every anime I've seen, like, everyone needs to join the club.
From every Persona game I've ever played, it appears to be super mandatory.
It's like, pick one club. You will be there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I'm going to join the anime club. He goes... It's completely shut down. No one goes to the anime club. And he's like, oh, but no one's going to come with me to Akihabara, which is about a 45-kilometer bike ride. And they're like, he keeps running into people who are really into bikes. He just keeps meeting all these bike people, and they're just fascinated with him because he's like, I'm going to go ride my bike 45 kilometers to Akihabara. And they're like, you're going to do what? You're going to ride 45 kilometers? That's like if I said from Baltimore, I was like, I'm just going to ride my bike to Washington, D.C.
Right, exactly.
And they're like...
I'm going to ride my bike to the Smithsonian, BRB.
Yeah, I'll be like, BRB.
It's good that we're also recording this because we can turn this in as your resume for being a dub actor for the show. I'm going to ride my bike 45 kilometers. Yay!
Yay! I love anime!
That's this main character, and I just love it because he keeps just coming back. Like, that's how he motivates himself through the series is like his love of anime and like his love of like wanting to make friends. And like that's the biggest thing. So like all these bike people are fascinated with him, and like this one guy is like this pro biker. He shows up and he's like, I noticed that you are like really good at climbing hills with your bike, but like they went past each other, and he was like singing an anime opening at the time, and he was so casual about it, and like, and the guy's like sweating his ass off. He's like, I'm gonna get up this hill, and the guy's just casually la 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 like up the hill, and he's a small nerdy guy. So the big thing they realize is that since 4th grade, he's been riding his bike to Akihabara on the same shitty bike since 4th grade. So his leg muscles are insane. And he had no idea.
I hope wonderful. that when they animate his legs are like wider than his torso.
The biggest thing is that they're CGI, so you can tell they're just clearly like they had to go to a different dimension to render these legs. So that's the brief intro to the series, and like so it goes through him learning about the bike club, just fighting for an anime club, just trying to make friends. And it's way better than I ever imagined because I was expecting romance subplots and stuff.
You were expecting gay bike club.
I was expecting free on bikes.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be free on bikes. It wasn't. It was actually a really interesting series because you see his character grow through it and how he actually gets more confident in his skills. And they actually set him up with a legit bike, and he's like amazing, and he blows past people. And there's this really great speech with like the coach of the bike team, and they have to do a race with all the freshmen people, like all the first years. And it's like, we're going to select the 2 winners of this are going to be on our bike team. And he's made 2 friends, and the 2 friends are really good at bikes, but he's still learning. And he's like, all right, we just got you this new bike. You're in 3rd right now. You can just finish the race in 3rd. Be fine. Like the coach is like literally in a van next to him telling him this motivation speech. He's like sweating his ass off on this bike. He's like, you can stick with 3rd, or you can try to pass them, get exhausted, and pass out at the top of this mountain. And he's like, huh, okay, I'm going to do that. And you're like, what? Kid, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And he actually just starts kicking ass, and he manages to catch up with them. And it's just like, it's this he just wants the race to be with his friend. It was so satisfying to watch. I'm only like 8 episodes in, and I'm like, this is going to be the next crazy long series I'm into, and I'm just going to be watching forever. So they're animating it right now. The manga, the English scans are like being like leaked over very slowly.
Nice.
So like the anime is actually caught up to
Oh, cool.
where the English scans are. So I don't know if there's any legal means to obtain the series yet. I haven't actually looked too thoroughly yet. There's probably someone publishing the manga now. I don't know. But it's good. It's good. Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge an anime by its fan service.
Well, don't judge a book by its fan cover, I guess, if you think about it.
Yeah. And this is all right. Yeah, it's really just like the fandom had painted a picture of this series, and I thought I understood it. And it was just really fun. It was just a nice, like, cool, exciting, motivating series, and I'm probably going to cry a lot when I watch more of it later.
Yeah.
I'm really into the manly series. You
That's
can tell.
good.
Yeah. Well, I hope for your sake that they do have sex later.
Oh, I'm sure they will, right?
Yeah, you know.
That's the only reason I'm watching, apparently, because the only series I've been talking about today are just, really, really gay, but that's...
Yeah, well, it happens. It just happens. It does.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't bother me. They're actually fascinating series on their own, even if, like, half the fandom only cares about how beautiful they are. It doesn't matter, because it's a good series, so...
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's good.
And now we're going to No Hana.
I'm sensing a pattern in me, too, because I just bring all the serious down stuff, I suppose. I've been thinking about this series a lot. No Hana, or Flowers of Evil, is a loose adaptation of the thematic ideas set out in Baudelaire's poetry, his book Les Fleurs du Mal.
That's some deep shit.
Yeah. This is the exact opposite of Yowamushi Pedal.
Hey, you don't know that.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to watch the rest of the series.
But yeah, this series got a little, you could say it got infamous when it came out. I think it was 2 years ago it came out, because it strictly didn't look like anime. It used a rotoscoped animation style where they...
Yeah, it looked like the Take on Me video.
I mean, if you want to just, a lot of people did reduce it to that. They reduced it to the fact that it didn't look like anime. It didn't look like character designs, and therefore a lot of people dismissed it outright. But
where's the merch?
Right.
I mean, yeah, like there's no moe character to latch onto. There's no simple shonen story to latch onto. It is a very, very heavy, tense, dramatically interesting, thematically interesting, just a rich show to watch if you are someone who is very into those same ideas in, say, really good television, really good film, really good just anything over here. And I want to say, like, it is going to be a turning point in anime that people talk about later. But until then, not a lot of people are liking this, because not a lot of people go out of their way to find things that are actually trying to make things of artistic worth, like really deep artistic worth.
Can you think of another like really artistic anime that's like in this same? I don't want to say anything's like the same as it, but I want to say like for deeply like interesting philosophical series. Like, is there anything that compares to this? Like,
I would say
if you
no.
liked this,
I would just say no. Because, like everything, like a lot of other great series, like great series have existed, sure, that delve into philosophical, psychological depths, but they exist in a very pop anime sense. Like Neon Genesis is still, nominally about people fighting in robots. Cowboy Bebop is still, like, it's a very strong set of characters and cliches done so deeply and perfectly, but it's still very much an action anime. This show, like, I'll give a quick plot synopsis. It's a love triangle story where no one is in love. These 3 teenagers are all intertwined with each other because they don't know better. They're teenagers. They don't know how normal relationships really should work. They have their delusions and their dreams and their ambitions, but they're very much very naive young people. And it ends up being this 3-way just damaging connection, these abusive relationships, this sense of dependence that they have to rely on each other to actually live, to get any enjoyment out of life, even if that enjoyment is marred by a lot of pain. It's a really, really just like I really enjoy works that look at adolescent characters and do them very, very well. Because I feel like that is a thing that definitely anime does to cliche a lot. Like, how many series can you name that start in high school? Like, all of them. Done.
Every
all right.
single one.
But this takes that high school setting and just really does something true with it. In that these characters aren't just in high school because, like, high school is relatable to the audience. They're in high school because this is where people grow up, and they grow up in sometimes very crooked ways. And just seeing all these characters just do these things to each other, like, all these carefully calculated words to hurt each other and just connect, but also just glue themselves onto each other. It's a very, very wonderful thing to watch. It's really seeing just some of the best writing, some of the best direction I've ever seen in anime or just on screen anywhere at work.
But do they ride bikes?
Hey, actually.
do they swim?
Sorry, I should have talked about Yowamushi Pedal too.
No.
It sounds awesome. No, I had some friends who were super into it when it was first coming out, and I was like, that looks really interesting. And then I was busy and I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
So I might go back and I might watch it.
The biggest complaint that people have is the rotoscoped animation, which I can see if you say, like, I see this and I'm not really attracted to this art style, like, I can't really watch it. Like, I'll understand that. But like, most of the criticisms are coming from really stupid people who are just like, it doesn't look like anime. What is this? And
where's the lolies?
These boobs aren't big enough for me. But like, it's very much
You're telling me these boobs are based in reality?
I can't live with this. But this art style is it's so perfect. Like, it's such a wonderful choice. The director, Hiroshi Nagahama, I believe his name is, he's most famous for doing Mushishi, which is another great series out there. But he is just a very, very strong directorial eye. He makes a lot of great choices. And he made the choice. He went to the mangaka, Shuzo Oshimi, and said, I don't want to do this series in the typical animated way. I want to do something much more uncomfortably close to reality. Something that the mangaka agreed with completely. He only drew his manga the way he did, in a very typical, manga style, because that's what he knew. But with this, you get the sense of these characters that are, they're traced off of real actors. And that gives that sense of, like, a closer human feeling to, just the story, these characters. But it's also animated. Like, not only it's animated, it's still traced, it's still drawn. And that gives it that sort of heightened reality that a lot of the events kind of require to really, really sell it. Like, there's a lot of wonderful, wonderful, just memorable scenes of just disturbing dynamics between people.
Did you, did it feel like Uncanny Valley at any point? Like, just like, it's so close to being real, I'm uncomfortable.
No, I don't think so. Not for me. I feel like they made the right choices in when to, like, there's a sense of fidelity when the characters are closer to the camera and farther away. Like it's really interesting to see a character walking from the background to the foreground and seeing his facial features slowly get drawn in as the guy gets closer to the front of the frame.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, that wraps it up for Checked Out. So we're going to move into our roundtable discussion topic. So we've talked a lot about animated stuff and stuff that's in print. But we also want to be able to dedicate part of our show to conventions. So we're going to have a regular convention coverage section in our show, but we wanted to take a few minutes and just kind of talk about what the convention scene, I guess, means to us.
Yeah, I feel like this was a really important section to cover if we're just covering anime and manga and fandom and like how the West especially is taking in this media. I think it was really important that we dedicate some of this show to conventions and how many there are now. I feel like we're going to have something every episode to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
So the biggest thing is that I know a lot of you may or may not even go to conventions. And you may even go like, what's the point of going to like Otakon? What is that? What is the point of that? Why do people go to do that? And the biggest thing, there's multiple reasons. There's big industry guests that come and speak. There's a dealer's room where you get merchandise. There's a game room, and the biggest thing is that you're meeting people who are dedicated to to anime and manga in general, and finding people that connect with you on that level is really satisfying.
Yeah, finding a sense of community is definitely one of the major reasons why I kept going to conventions after my first one. My first convention was Otakon 2002.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I really only had a couple of friends in the neighborhood who were kind of into the same things that I was.
Mm-hmm.
Very old friend of mine, my friend Stephanie. One day I was at her house and we were watching like Bubblegum Crisis, Tokyo 2040.
Ooh.
Yeah, man, early 2000s anime. But she said, there's a convention in Baltimore. Did you want to go? Like, did you want to save your allowance and like go to this thing? And I was like, I gotta ask my parents, but yeah. And so like her parents took us and one of her other friends to Otakon that year. And Otakon in particular, to be your first convention, is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Again, I was 12 years old the first time I went to an anime convention, and it was Otakon!
Yeah, I was 17 when I went to Otakon, so my first Otakon was 2007, so walking in there, I was a little more comfortable, but still just like, what is up with all these people?
Yeah.
So, wait, was everyone's first con here Otakon then? Because I think
probably,
my first, was like when I was 15 too, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So...
Yeah, I think we all did Otakon.
Yeah, I mean... It's one thing to start at like a smaller regional convention like an Anime USA or even Katsucon back in the day.
Yeah.
Was pretty small. But Otakon, even in 2002, took up the entire Baltimore Convention Center.
Yeah.
So,
overran it, yeah.
I still have pictures from that first convention of me being like the most adorable little weeb ever, like taking pictures with this really great looking Vash and Wolfwood cosplayers.
Oh, from Trigun, right? Yeah.
So that was also my first exposure to cosplay, and I was like, wow, people dress up for this. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And, like, just being surrounded by it. And that was, Otakon was sort of my first introduction to, like, what a fandom can actually be and what a community can actually be. Because, around that time I got picked on in school a lot for being, like, the super nerdy kid with like not a lot of friends, and that hasn't changed. But to find that sense of community in something that I thought was just something that only I and maybe a few other people were really that into, and to like go to the convention center in Baltimore, which is obviously not too far from where we live,
right?
Was just so astounding. And I met friends. I made friends at that Otakon that I'm still friends with today.
Yeah.
I work with one of the people who I met at that Otakon.
Wow.
So, that is, I think, one of the best things that a convention, and it doesn't really matter if it's an anime convention or a Star Wars convention or a comic convention.
Right, right.
It can be anything, but really the sense of community is what I think is really the most important thing that conventions can provide.
And not to belittle online communities, because I think that's over the past few years has really grown to really foster, like that sense of community for people who are struggling and who want to befriend people with similar interests. And online communities have their place, and I think they're really great. But there's a big difference between participating in an online community and then meeting them in real life and then meeting them and having a great time with them. And there's just so much to talk about conventions. I feel like we're going to dedicate a few episodes just talking about different aspects of conventions and like cosplay and, like industry guests and stuff like that. I want to delve into that a bit and hopefully sell a few of you who've never been to a convention. Hopefully maybe you'll try at Otakon. Maybe you'll try a smaller convention in the future.
Yeah, Otakon particularly this year. Otakon has gotten very big and very expensive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Otakon's Otakon's the biggest convention on the East Coast, second biggest anime convention in the United States.
Yeah.
So
they actually had to put an attendance cap this year. It's 35,000.
Yeah. So, and they're moving to DC because of the fact that it's gotten so completely out of hand.
That's another 2 years from now, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's
So
in the future, but Otakon is definitely huge, and I think the more people who go to these conventions, the more it shows people. Creative types that like anime and manga is not just some trend. It's not just some like, oh, if we make a manga style for a product, it's gonna sell now, and then we'll move on to the next thing. It's actually like international media is important to everyone. And
absolutely,
yeah. Right. Like I really think that it's such a wonderful thing. Like I'll come out and say that, yeah, I'm not, like, I've been to a few conventions, and I always am looking to go to more, but I feel like I'm much more of an outsider to this sort of thing than you guys are. But I do love, like, the chance to go to any just fan convention, like, when you just step into the door and just see all these people milling about and know that there's a huge common interest just that ties all of these people together. It's a really fun thrill, and it's a genuine emotional experience just to meet people and wander around and just see everything that's happening, because it is very much a like distilled fandom experience all at once, like for all that that can do. And
you can experience a convention from any number of angles.
Absolutely.
You can make a convention experience into whatever you want it to be. I mean, I've done Otakon as an attendee. This will be my 12th time doing it this year.
Yeah.
But I've also done Otakon as a panelist. And to do a panel at Otakon is a completely different experience than just being, someone wandering the halls.
Volunteering is another aspect
exactly.
of it. Becoming press, which we're going to be press now.
Yay!
At least Carrie is.
All right, fine.
And there's like as a cosplayer, as an artist, as a creative type, as someone who just loves anime.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely value my experience being, just a regular attendee as much as I value an experience being a vendor in a tiny little artist alley at like a one-day convention, which I've done before.
Yeah.
I don't make enough product to do a 3-day convention, but like to do a one little thing and to table with friends of mine and stuff like that, that's just as much fun as, being an attendee at a big convention.
Yeah, definitely. So we recently went to a convention. At least
you did.
I went to a convention. I wasn't sure if you would.
Royal Waiter.
Okay.
Nice, Tim.
I just assumed a lot of things. Okay. I went to Anime Next in New Jersey recently.
I've done Anime Next before.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a pretty good mid-sized convention.
It's a smaller con. It's it's not crazy like Otakon. It's one building in mid-Jersey.
It's like in Somerset.
It's like the, like Jersey's kind of like an elbow. It's like right in the pit of the elbow. But it's actually nice because I have a lot of friends in the area, and it's nice being able to see all of them. And I got a lot more experience seeing the Artist Alley side of things because my girlfriend actually does a lot of Artist Alley tables.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to help her out a bit more and see more like the behind the scenes of that. And the artist community there is really cool. There's just so much. There's so many different series that, like, if you bring fan art to a convention, like...
You're going to sell it. Someone will find it and be like, that's awesome!
Like, that's my thing! Oh, my God! Yeah, mm-hmm. And there was some interesting cosplay. It's not usually the biggest cosplay con, but it has a good mix of panels, and I feel like it's getting bigger. I have a feeling in the next few years probably announce a new venue for it.
They had better, because that's the one biggest gripe I've always had about Anime Next, is that if the weather's nice... the venue's great.
Yeah.
If the weather's shitty, then the venue's shitty.
Yeah.
Because the last time I went last year for like a day. I made a day trip. Because from Baltimore, you can do a day trip to Jersey, whatever.
Like 2-hour drive.
And it wasn't like pouring, but it was a pretty steady drizzle most of the day. And Anime Next has the layout where it's like you've got a couple big events in this building, and then you got to walk if you want to go to where the panels are, and then if you want to go to the game room, you have to walk across the street. And it's in June, so usually it's not overbearingly hot outside like it is at Otakon.
It can be. It can be.
It can be, and it has been in the past. But that day I was just like, this fucking sucks. And it sucks when a convention and how much you enjoy a convention hinges on whether the weather's going to be good.
And that's why a lot of it is really like your preparation for a con too, because some people end up making cosplays that aren't really weather appropriate. It's like, I'm going to wear all this wool in the middle of August.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. So I think at a later time, another episode we could talk more like cosplay or convention tips, like survival tips, and we can just talk, what you need to do to prepare adequately for a con.
For sure.
There's a lot to talk about with that.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to when a cons go wrong.
Oh, boy. Yes, please, please, please. If you have any convention stories to send us, please send them to us. We would love to hear them, good or bad.
We'd love to hear any, whatever crazy thing happened to you at a con, share with us. We'll talk about it.
We'll read it, and we'll discuss it, and we'll determine what the hell happened.
Yeah. So the biggest thing was that Tumblr had a con. This is not, a big anime convention. Tumblr, some people from Tumblr are like, let's make a Tumblr con. And if you're not familiar with Tumblr as a social media site, it's essentially blogs that you can share.
Right.
And it's become kind of a fandom haven for a lot of series. So these people decided to make a Dashcon and apparently did not know how to run a convention at all.
Oh, jeez. It is such a disaster. Just watching, the few videos that have surfaced of them trying to run things. Okay, we spent, our time gushing about Otakon and really good conventions that we've enjoyed. But sometimes, conventions go wrong. And it's always going to be because the people that run it just have no idea what they're doing.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing I can encourage people who are interested in conventions, who go to conventions a lot, try to volunteer and try to move up the ranks, and please slap the people who are up in charge, because a lot of times there's some great convention staffs out there.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't think of any on the top of my head right now.
Anybody who's ever run a successful convention. Obviously every convention is going to have its issues.
Sure.
Katsucon is notoriously bad at giving refunds for panelists and stuff like that.
Oh, I did get my refund from Katsucon. Yeah. I ran a panel at Katsucon. I finally got it. It's Katsucon was in February.
Yes,
I got a
6 months
half
later.
off. Yeah. But they weren't bad. They weren't too bad. But Dashcon, my God.
Okay, so
we didn't actually go, but just the internet was abuzz.
I didn't hear about Dashcon until the Sunday of the last day of the convention, and I started seeing all of these ball pit jokes float across my screen, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I saw that number, $17,000.
All right.
So as the story goes, they said, I think on the first night, that the hotel was going to kick them out of the hotel and force everybody out and cancel the convention if they didn't raise $17,000 by that night.
Supposedly there's some sort of verbal deal that they said they were going to pay after the con,
right.
But the hotel was like, you have to pay before the con because you're idiots.
Right. So let's keep in mind, this convention was held at a Renaissance in Chicago, or just outside of Chicago.
Yeah, Illinois.
So the Renaissance is a Marriott affiliate, and someone made a smart decision and actually looked up what Marriott's policies about conventions and events held at the hotel are. Now, they state in their official policy that you have to have paid in full by 5 days before the event is supposed to start, or else Marriott will cancel your event.
Yeah. I love all the stories that they came up with to try and verify. They did you see that one of them posted up a screenshot, a picture of the letter that was sent to them,
of a piece of paper was mostly whited out.
Yeah.
Really?
And all of these, they are definitely lies. All of these lies just show such a utter non-knowledge of how business works. The fact that they told people that, the hotel suddenly asked us for a 5-figure amount that we need to raise in a few hours. We just got this now.
That would have been a total breach of contract
absolutely.
by the Renaissance Hotel. You know, this it doesn't. What doesn't surprise me is that someone managed to scam $17,000 out of stupid teenagers on the internet.
Well, I feel bad for them.
I do feel bad for them a little bit. But you know, you gotta fucking do some research before you throw money at someone.
Well, the site looked kind of official. I even had a friend ask me if I wanted to do a panel there at some point, and I was like, nah, I don't really want to go to Illinois. And I made the right call because
So you were
if I had gone
over the weekend.
I mean, if I'd gone, I could have enjoyed their wonderful ball pit, but which deflated and someone peed in.
Right. Well, let's explain the ball pit, shall we?
Okay. So apparently, there was like a bouncy house and a ball pit. Now there's a very popular podcast.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, like Chuck E. Cheese. And there's a very popular podcast with a very strong following, particularly on Tumblr, called Welcome to Night Vale.
Yep.
I've listened to a couple episodes. They're very, very good at what they do. And they were booked as guests for Dashcon, taking time off of their other convention tour to go to Dashcon.
Yep.
They canceled their panel. And I can't really say I blame them.
Yeah, they weren't paid.
They weren't paid. When you book a guest, you are expected to pay for them.
Right.
That's how that works.
That's like a basic understanding of like economy and business and everything.
Right. Or like event planning.
Right.
Now, the Welcome to Night Vale folks ended up having to pay their own travel costs, having to pay for their own food, and having to pay for their own hotel. Now, these are three things that are also usually included in a contract for booking a guest.
And the worst part is they really wanted to do the show. They wanted to support the fans.
They wanted
took
to
the
do
time
that.
out of their tour and went over here and just...
They made a statement on their Twitter, and they were like, we're really sorry we can't be here because they didn't pay us.
Right.
You know, like, we gotta go. And fans were outraged.
So the Dashcon staff made a announcement at the convention saying that that Welcome to Night Vale had canceled their panel, had canceled their event, but to make it up to everybody, you would get an extra hour in the ball pit. Now the ball pit,
not really quite a ball pit, unfortunately for everyone.
It sat, I think, 6 people.
I think it's like a kiddie pool.
It was very much a kiddie pool that was slowly deflating over the entire weekend with some balls in it, I guess.
And pee.
So that's how conventions can go wrong. So the advice from that is basically, you know, do your homework on a new convention that, like, if it's an established convention, it's like, this is our 15th convention, chances are they did something right to get to that point.
Right. Even once you get to maybe 3 or 4 years, they've probably done something correct to get to that point.
They nailed it at some point.
First-year conventions are always risky.
They might be hilarious in some ways, but in other ways, they might cost you money, time, possibly your health.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And it honestly wouldn't surprise me if a class action lawsuit happened.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of talk about legal action against them. So,
but for,
for
people listening,
we will
like I
follow this story.
Definitely say that.
Exception.
Yeah, like we're definitely excited for the average convention. Know that all these horror stories, this is the worst case scenario. You're not going to end up going to a Dashcon level disaster.
We can only hope. We can only hope that this happens.
Right.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing to take away is that, like, that's how things can go wrong, but we're really looking forward to what's going to go right at Otakon.
Yes.
So all 3 of us are going, and Carrie and I are actually going to do some cosplays.
Yay! Otakon in general, we are 3 weeks out from Otakon. Oh my god.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, they continue to announce guests. They just announced a couple. The one that I'm really excited for that they just announced was Jiro Ishii, who's a game director, so he's not really directly related to anime in any sense, but he does work for Level 5, which is primarily known for Professor Layton and Dragon Quest. And
Ni no Kuni, right?
Yeah, they also did Ni no Kuni. So, Jiro Ishii has produced some very notable titles. One of my favorites, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors for the DS.
Oh, I played that too.
He produced that.
Yeah.
So he's going to be there. That's super cool. They've got some pretty interesting non-anime guests. They've got a couple sumo wrestlers coming.
Really?
Yeah, and they've got Dante Basco.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Who I am really looking forward to interviewing him. So Jay and I will be there as press. Jay, our producer, will be holding the camera while I ask informed questions, because Jay does not know anything about this sort of stuff, which is why he gave us our own show.
Thank you, Jay. If you're listening, thank you for this opportunity. And I'm sorry the only anime you've seen is Ninja Scroll.
But yeah, Dante Basco, for those of you who don't know, his most notable animated stuff is Avatar.
Yeah, he was Zuko in Avatar Last Airbender.
But he's also Rufio. Like, it's so awesome. I'm just gonna ask him Rufio-based questions. I'm gonna be like, so can you just be Rufio?
Can you talk for a little bit?
Yeah.
I just watched Hook the other day. It's great. It still holds up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna be doing some fun costumes though. I have some planned. I don't know if we'll actually get them done or not. But just to give an idea of who we are, who we're what series we're really into. So I'm really into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure now. I spent the whole last year catching up and getting really into it. And we actually have a minor Part 3 villains group. So we found pretty much all Part 3 is stand of the week. There's another enemy. The good guys getting hassled by the bad guys. So we've collected a whole assortment of those villains. And I'm making a cosplay of Oingo, of the pair Oingo and Boingo. If you don't know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is just all names referencing classic music and such.
Yeah.
Lots of classic rock, and there's my character's name is Speedwagon. Come on. So I'm going to be Oingo, who can shapeshift and stuff. He's really cool. And I'm also going to do a One Piece cosplay because I'm really into One Piece. And it's actually a younger version of a character comes much later. For One Piece fans, I'm looking to do Silver's Rayleigh, who is the right-hand man of Goldie Roger himself, the former Pirate King. And
I'm just going to nod to what you're saying right now. I do not watch One Piece.
Hey, guys, it's a cool thing I'm doing with One Piece. No one cares. But so, yeah, I'm doing a younger version of him when he first meets Goldie Roger. It's going to be pretty cool. And I'm going to be Waluigi. I'm hoping to be Waluigi. If not Otakon, MagFest, which is it's a music and games fest coming up next year.
Yeah.
I have to be Waluigi. Wah-ha!
Yeah.
It's me, Waluigi.
Yeah.
I see it.
You see my face? Yeah, I already have the features.
I mean, we'll post up a picture of your weird Slender Man physique on the website, I'm sure, and people can judge it.
Slender Man cosplay hasn't happened yet. I probably should at some point. I am a Slender Man. I should really try that. But
So yeah, I'm working on you're doing some obscure characters from popular things. I am also doing sort of an obscure character from a popular thing. I'm working on Keiko Sonoda's Black Rose Duelist outfit from Revolutionary Girl Utena,
nice.
Which is seen in exactly one episode. Now, the Black Rose arc ends up featuring some previously seen minor characters as antagonists.
Mm-hmm.
They get sort of brainwashed by the primary antagonist, and they get tricked into fighting Utena. Now, Keiko is the last Black Rose duelist before the ultimate antagonist, Mikage, is fought. And a lot of people have very mixed feelings about Keiko being a Black Rose duelist.
I saw someone tell you, just be like, I don't like Keiko. You're like, what?
I just like, fuck you, she's great. So Keiko is sort of, there's another character, Nanami, who's sort of like your typical prissy, Nei-chan character. She's very spoiled, very rich. She's got a weird brother complex, but she has these 3 goons. And Keiko is one of them. And you see her sort of in the background, but she doesn't have an episode focused on her before her Black Rose episode. All of the other Black Rose duelists have episodes in which they're kind of featured as a character. They're all supporting characters, but they all sort of have a focus episode before the Black Rose arc.
But not her.
But not Keiko. Okay. Keiko's just been in the background the whole time, and so she comes out of nowhere. And she's got one of the best duelist songs. She's got a great looking uniform that has fucking 800 gold buttons on it.
Good.
That's going to be the biggest pain in the ass in making this outfit. It's almost done.
Good.
I'm getting there.
You're way farther along than I am on any of my stuff. I have a lot of ideas, very little execution.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure hand sewing all of the gold buttons on is going to take as much time, if not longer, than actually sewing the jacket together proper.
Oh my god.
I think she's got 14 running down the front because it's double-breasted.
Wow.
Yeah, yep, going to be a big pain in the ass to sew all those. But either way, Keiko's really an interesting character. She comes out of nowhere even for Utena herself, because at the end of the duel, Utena's like, I don't even know her name. Like,
who was that?
What? She recognized her, but again, this has been such a background character, and then she's like, no, I fucking hate Nanami. Don't you tell me who to love. I will love whoever I want, and I'm gonna prove it, and I have this power, and then of course she gets defeated in 2 minutes by Utena. Anyway, but...
Girl power!
Yay! But, no, she's awesome. I have someone cosplaying with me as the character who is her, I guess, regular counterpart, the person whose sword she draws.
Oh.
So, very much
nice.
looking forward to that. Going to do a questionably sexy photo shoot at Otakon.
Oh.
Questionably sexy. My favorite?
Ew. And not for Otakon, but I'm working on Henry Wong, or Lee Jinlang, depending on which version of the show you're watching, from Digimon Tamers.
Okay.
He is the blue-haired kid who has Terriermon.
I love Terriermon.
Yeah, everybody loves Terriermon.
He's a bunny with gats.
Exactly.
What's not to love? And jorts.
But the week before Otakon, so 2 weeks from now, I will be mega busing up to New York for a Digimon picnic with some friends of mine, because August 1st is referred to by the Digimon fandom as Odaiba Day. Because it's when, at least within the Digimon universe, when the original Digidestined were first transported to the digital world. So this is the 15th anniversary.
What does Odaiba mean?
It's just Odaiba is where they were transported from.
Oh, it's a location.
Yeah.
I was like, Odaiba.
So yeah, no, looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get some cute pictures. And
we'll share those pictures with you guys.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. We'll post them on our Facebook page and whatnot.
And I do want to focus later, another episode about, the different approaches to cosplay, because you can make it all yourself.
There are many.
You can commission it. You can just buy stuff. You cannot cosplay at all. All of it's legitimate. And
yes.
I think you should all feel proud about just getting the courage to put on a costume at all. Just being like, I'm this character. Great,
I'm
cool.
25 and I'm still playing dress up. God damn it.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
And if any of you are wondering, I just wear normal clothes to my conventions. But I am Asian,
okay.
So I hope that will confuse you for something down the road. Just easier that way.
Hold on. You're not Japanese, though. I'm calling you out.
Oh, jeez. Already called out.
You can't just pass with just being like general Asian.
Right. All right. So that would be it for our cosplay work for this week. So before we go, we've got a trailer. And this trailer, which we'll link in our show notes, the original Sailor Moon show, previously announced by Viz, it's getting a new dub. We finally have trailers for this new dub.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
so, you know what? A new dub might make me actually rewatch the original fillerific Sailor Moon.
I mean,
you know what I've noticed?
It's nice, because, we got new Sailor Moon that sticks to the manga, does new thing, still new, but classic gets some love. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Like, they're keeping both in mind with the reboot, and it's like, well, obviously this was rebooted for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that dubs have been going up in quality so much recently.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I'm just so impressed. Like, we could go find a million bad dub clips, but now it's like, the newer series are getting treated with a lot of love because they're finally understanding that the fans are really into these series, and they're like, I like reading subs and all, but I really want to see you guys try it. And it's been really cool lately. So, like, if you've been a naysayer of dubs for a long time, which, I think all of us have at one point.
At some point,
we watched Dragon Ball Z or something, and we're like, ooh. I'm glad we did that in unison. But now dubs are getting really high quality. They're actually, like, maybe some of the same actors you've heard before, but they're really getting into the roles, and they're really, like, fitting in well. And I think like the casting directors are knowing what
much
to cast.
better. Yeah,
think, just dub direction.
The new girl who's doing Sailor Moon. I don't think they're calling her Serena. I think they're calling her Usagi.
They are calling her Usagi. Yes, they are.
Yeah. Back to the original Japanese names. Yep.
Yeah. So it's Stephanie Shea who's doing it now. She voiced one of my favorite characters in Fire Emblem Awakening.
Oh, who was she?
She was the super. God, I'm totally forgetting her name.
Lucina?
No, she wasn't Lucina.
I was going to talk about her being in Smash and being all hype.
She was Tarja.
Oh! Oh, Tarja, my queen.
Yes. So she's done a ton. Like, she's really risen to prominence lately.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of video game work, but she's also done a lot of anime work. So very much looking forward to hearing her do Usagi. And I'm looking forward to, like, not having to deal with all of, like, the original dub's changes to the storyline and to the characters and who they were. Like, Uranus and Neptune are going to be super awesome lesbians instead of cousins.
No one bought that.
Yeah, no. Like, there's always going to be a great nostalgia for that, but now we have something that validates that nostalgia and actually gives us a good old product to look at instead of, a weird mess.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of just like looking through the goggles, like, I love this thing and I'm not sure why.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's very clear.
Very clear.
Like, So yeah, I think that there's a bunch of trailers coming out for the dub for that. I think that's all we really want to talk about this week.
Yep.
And
that about wraps it up. Thank you for joining us, dear listeners, for our first episode.
If you've made it this far, we can actually tell you, first off, follow us on the Facebook, so facebook.com/Mouthful of Toast, because once we hit 50 followers, we're going to do a random anime swag giveaway.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of shit in my basement that I don't want anymore.
Oh, hey, yeah, I got a lot of stuff, too. Hey, let's
so
do
what
it.
we're going to do is, like, I think every 50 followers or so, we'll just do another giveaway.
We will just do giveaways.
And I'm just going to pack up a flat rate box and ship you some stuff I don't want anymore.
Yes.
Or maybe stuff Micah from the Nerdpocalypse doesn't want anymore.
Even some of my stuff. Like, I got some figures that might be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. We're not going to tell you what they are.
Oh,
you
not at all.
You don't know what you're going to get.
So it's a lottery. 2/3 of the prizes will be terrible things that we don't want anymore. And then just Tim's money.
There'll be like a million different series too, so you'll be like, I'm really gunning for that One Piece thing. I know Tim's gonna have a One Piece thing in there, and it's like, no, you got Utena. Sorry.
Surprise! Here's a Ranma 1/2 VHS tape.
I hope you have a VHS player.
Love Hina, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The full collection.
Yes.
It could be anything. So if you made it this far on the podcast, congrats. You know about the giveaway now.
Yes.
So tell all your friends to follow, and then make sure you're the 50th.
Also, well, I'm not saying the 50th person will get it. Once we hit 50, I'm gonna do a random number generator.
All right, yeah, we'll do a random.
But be there.
And be there.
Via Facebook and Twitter.
At Mouthful of Toast. I'm gonna be active on Twitter once this.
Yeah, get me in on that. I want to tweet.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to twat.
And we are a part of the Nerdpocalypse Network. Please listen to our other shows. If you're into comics, movies, science and tech, pop culture, listen to the Nerdpocalypse. If you're into video games, listen to Dense Pixels. There are also, what the hell else do we have? Black on Black Cinema is also great. I'm not black, and I don't watch the movies that they've been reviewing, but I hear they're very good. I'm going to get so much shit from Jay. But
we'll just cut from here. It's fine.
No. Listen to Black on Black Cinema. Listen to Love School for Nerds.
If you have relationship problems, just
don't come to us with your relationship problems.
Oh.
Go to Jay and Abiola. They know what they're doing.
That's not the feedback we want. We want like I watch all this anime and I can't get a girlfriend now. We want let's talk about this on the podcast. So yeah, like just
absolutely
listen to their shows, give them all the questions, and then come to us and be like, hey, I have this crazy con story, whatever. Like just follow us, talk with us. We're here to talk.
Yes. Please hit subscribe on iTunes. If you liked the show, give us a 5-star review so we can start climbing the ranks. And if you give us a 5-star review, we will read your review on air, and you can use it to plug whatever ridiculous shit you want to plug, whether it be a Twitter handle, Facebook page, or if you just want to tell us a dirty joke in a 5-star review, we'll read that too.
Yeah, just do first 2 sentences like regular review, and then just sneak in whatever agenda you have. It'll be great.
Yeah, all you secret Nazis out there, do it. Come on, do it.
All right. So again, thanks for listening. We'll be back at you in 2 weeks. And I think that's it. Team, you got any last words?
That was a mouthful.
Oh, yeah.
And the podcast is canceled. Sorry.
See ya.